Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the online VGC 18 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. If you have not seen the last episode, definitely check it out. It's my first one in a couple of days or so. As I mentioned in that one, I am back after competing in Costa Mesa Regionals this past weekend, and the last week was just really busy because of a couple of exams and in real life obligations. So we're going to get this episode kicked off with a 16-12 opponent rated from Japan right away. Of course, I'm using the team that I brought to Costa Mesa Regionals, and we are going up against a very similar team today in the first game with Ferrothorn on my opponent's team instead of the Amoonguss, which is actually going to make this a lot harder because Amoonguss is not very good in the mirror match, and Ferrothorn is really good against my team, especially because I don't have Heat Wave on Zapdos. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. As always, if you guys enjoy Road to Rank, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it, and yeah, it's good to be back. So, typically in the mirror, like I played against the mirror, and that was actually one of my two losses at regionals. I went 6-2. I just, Zapdos Metagross is typically like the most common lead with Landorus and Lele in the back. To be honest, I might just go with the same combination here. I do have the slight advantage in the sense that I do have HP Ice on Zapdos, so that works slightly in my favor. I'm curious as to whether or not my opponent actually brings that Ferrothorn, because normally Zapdos on this team do have Heat Wave, so you've got to be a little bit more scared. The Metagross is running Zen Headbutt or not. A lot of the Zapdos, Metagross, Lele teams have been popping up, especially the one that won in Sydney or on Yuri's team. They actually don't have Ice Punch. Or sorry, they have Zen Headbutt. They don't have Zen Headbutt, they have Ice Punch. So that makes things a little bit more interesting because then like Amoonguss becomes a little bit more viable for me. But I honestly think I'm just going to go with Zap Metagross with Landorus and Lele. Ferrothorn surely is pretty difficult to deal with, but Z-move from Lele does a ton. A superpower from Landorus does my best damage output against it. HPS plus Zen Headbutt. And it doesn't do too much to me in return if it's Leech Seeding. It can't really touch Zapdos. It can't really touch Metagross. So if I can play around the Ferrothorn, then that'll help me out a lot as well. I actually did play, I think, 2 Ferrothorns at Regionals. I beat both of them, but they were pretty difficult matchups to maneuver around. And that's mainly because, of course, I don't have Heat Wave on Zapdos and I have HPS instead. And even with Heat Wave, you don't get the one-shot most of the times. So Zap Metagross is pretty much the safest lead, and of course we're going to see Zap Metagross from my opponent's end as well. So this will be interesting, especially because my Zapdos pressure goes off first, which does help out a lot. I made my Zapdos a little bit more offensive, specifically to, one, get more damage output against things like Landorus, Salamence, and Tapu Fini with HP, Ice, and Thunderbolt, but also so I could outspeed opposing Zapdoses. So that at least is nice. I doubt we speed tie here. So Tailwind typically is the best play here on turn 1, and I think I'm just going to go straight for the Tantrum onto Metagross. Worst case is, the thing is, yeah, this is like a relatively safe play, because regardless of what my opponent does, like if Metagross protects and Zapdos attacks, that's fine, because I get Tailwind up. If Metagross protects and Zapdos Tailwinds, that's fine, I get Tailwind up, and then I can double up until Metagross slot the next turn. So both of our Mega Metagross is coming out here. So yeah, this is pretty much how most mirrors end up being in this matchup. The one key difference that can make a difference is if Metagross doesn't have Zen Headbutt and you find that out. So yeah, my opponent also just going for the Stomping Tantrum right away. So it does confirm to me my opponent is max speed, which is good to know. Obviously that means it's not adamant nature. Winning the speed tie there or me losing there doesn't really matter too much, fortunately, as I will get the Zapdos Tailwind up. So I'm curious to see what my opponent's Zapdos does. It could go for a Tailwind or a Heat Wave, but it is just going to launch a Tailwind of its own. So this is pretty much how I expect the mirror to play out, and that makes this next turn really obnoxious because, one, do you expect the Metagross to protect? Because if you do, like my opponent's Metagross totally could just launch an Ice Punch into my Zapdos. You could also try to go for a Stomping onto my Metagross, so the question is, who do I target here? I'm leaning towards just Stomping Tantruming the Metagross and Thunderbolting the Zapdos. The only downside here is if my opponent actually decides to Stomping Tantrum with that Metagross as well. I could also protect and just Thunderbolt Metagross, which I think is actually kind of tempting. Yeah, I'm going to go for this, actually. I mean, protect is kind of obvious here, but I have enough special attack investment to knock out the Metagross. If my opponent's Metagross protects, that's fine. Zapdos probably gets a Heat Wave off. I just don't want to risk the speed tie immediately right now. So I'm going to get the protect off. No switches, which means no Landorus is coming in to take a Thunderbolt. And Metagross does go for the Ice Punch, targeting the Metagross. Wow, maybe expecting a Landorus switch in there. So not what I expected, but okay, I'll take that. That's quite the aggressive read there. I don't think I switch into Landorus most of the time there. And Thunderbolt just targets down my Zapdos. So that's really good, as I get crit there. Oh, that's not even a crit. That's a Life Orb Zapdos. Very interesting to see Life Orb Zapdos in the mirror here, because it's actually slower than my Zapdos still. So it's like offensive, but like doesn't have that much speed investment, which is very interesting. So that also makes me wonder whether or not it has HP Ice or whether or not it has Protect. Yeah, I really was not expecting the Ice Punch into the Metagross slot. Obviously expecting a Landorus switch in there on my end. So Landorus is going to come out for my opponent now, and that's okay. What I think I'm going to do is switch my Metagross out into the Landorus to get the Intimidate off and HP Ice the Landorus. Because if I get the HP Ice off against this Landorus, that puts me up huge. Even if I don't get the knockout, I get Scarf Landorus in, and then I could just potentially finish it off with a Rock Slide. Typically, Landoruses on these team compositions are Scarfed. So, with that, it's likely my opponent is Scarfed, but a Rock Slide won't knock me out. I just need to hope that I don't get flinched. Because I think if you were my opponent... I mean, the other question is my opponent could just try to Earthquake, but presumably he's going to Rock Slide here. Something like Rock Slide Heat Wave. But if my opponent does have HPS with that Zapdos, you could totally snipe my Metagross right now. But, of course, you know, I could have just chosen to stay in. So, let's see. Either way, though, even if I lose Landorus, it's worth it if I get the HP Ice off against the Landorus, I think. So, yep, Landorus is just Rock Sliding. Hopefully no flinch. Is that banned? Or did it just crit both of my Pokemon? You have got to be kidding me. Literally, like, no oh, I love Pokemon. I really love Pokemon. I mean, that just loses me the game. Like, that's all so bad, because without the double crit, I mean, yeah, without the double crit, you don't knock out obviously either of my Pokemon. If you crit Zapdos, that's still fine. I mean, Landorus will still stick around, but the double crit means that the Heat Wave becomes single target, and I take enough damage where I faint. So, I don't know. I think I played that as well as I could have. That's Pokemon for you. That's so stupid. Oh well. Landorus is surely going to switch out here into the fourth Pokemon. Presumably it's Lele. I really think the only way I could win this game is if I knock out Zapdos here, I get the Moonblast off against Landorus, and then I Psychic Z to knock out the Lele. I'm assuming Lele's in the back. It also could be Ferrothorn. So I need to hope Zen Headbutt, I think, knocks out Zapdos. And I'm going to go for a Moonblast, because I expect the Lele to be coming in right now for my opponent. Now, the other downside is that Zapdos totally could Protect, because this Zapdos probably has Protect if it's Life Orb. But my opponent's just staying in with both Pokemon. What? Is he literally just trying to flinch me? Okay, well, I connect with the Zen Headbutt. That means now the Landorus is locked into Rock Slide. Why would you not switch out there? Flinch there, of course. Okay, well, let's see if Ferrothorn's the last one. If it is, then that would explain why my opponent didn't switch. It is Lele! What? I don't get that. I don't get that at all. Maybe my opponent just feels bad and wants to throw it. I'm just gonna Shatter... If I don't get flinched here, I win. Because that's Scarf Landorus. I'm so bewildered right now. I thought switching into Lele was such a safe play. Because now you're just literally relying on Rock Slide, and yeah, my opponent's just clicking Rock Slide. And Metagross avoids it, so unless this is Sash Lele, I win the game. Because that means I'm not getting flinched. I really don't get this. What? Like, okay, I don't know, I just thought my opponent had, like, a much better chance winning the game by switching out Landorus, because then you can lock yourself in an Earthquake. Like, so the play, which is, like, I mean, the play I made ended up covering most of my options, I guess. But if you switch Landorus out into Lele, and yeah, I'm curious as to whether or not the Zapdos had Protect. Maybe my opponent wasn't expecting to just faint from the Zen Headbutt. But I just like don't understand the logic of staying in with Rock Slide Landorus with Scarf. Like, I guess my opponent was like, oh, if I get a flinch here, I win the game. Because then if the Metagross flinch there, or if I miss Zen Headbutt, I lose the game. Because then the Zapdos gets an attack off. But I don't get why you would gamble it on a flinch instead of playing it safer. But perhaps my opponent was thinking that if I did have the Z move, then, which I did, Like, maybe my opponent was scared of the Z move, so my opponent was thinking, okay, I'm just going to go for the flinch because I have a technically 30%, but it's actually 27% because of the chance of missing Rock Slide. So 27% chance of flinching Metagross, added onto the fact that Zen Headbutt could miss as well. Odds of that still aren't that great, though. I don't know. And I guess if I flinched with Metagross either of those 3 times, I would have lost, but if you switch Landorus out into Lele, the Lele takes a Moonblast, which is probably around 50%. Zapdos flames, Landorus comes back in. I probably double protect on the first turn. You have to lock yourself into Earthquake. So I guess I actually maybe still win that way because I conserved my Z move. That's why I didn't Z move the turn when the Landorus stayed in, because I figured Lele switching out there would be the best option, and I figured I still had a pretty good chance of winning even if Lele switched in and Landorus came back out. It was a question of whether or not like the Earthquake would knock out my Lele, because I would definitely double protect on the first turn, and since the Lele would take a lot of damage from the Moonblast, it would be in EQ KO range as well. So then I double protect, presumably my opponent's Lele protects as well, and then Landorus just clicks Earthquake, and then, yeah, so I guess maybe my opponent's play actually does make sense, because, I mean, that's him assuming that I have the Z move, because if I don't have the Z move, I can't knock out Landorus, and then Landorus wins. So I guess my opponent was thinking, okay, if the Lele has the Z move, and it doesn't commit the Z move, and makes the right play of Moonblasting me, then I'm just going to go for the flinch chance, because otherwise I probably just lose the game. So maybe that play actually makes more sense than I imagined it to. It just, yeah, it always seems weird when you're clicking the Rock Slide button, like, earlier on, but I guess my opponent was just trying to get the win right there, because otherwise, if I played correctly, then my opponent actually just loses. So, that was, really interesting of a game. Anyway, this next team is really interesting as well. I believe the world champion, Barderu, who was also the Japanese national champion, used a very similar team. It might have been the exact same Pokemon to qualify for Japanese nationals, and I'll actually link the team that he used in the description below, because he did post information online. It's in Japanese, but you can translate it using like Google Translate to get some sense, and he did post EVs and stuff, I believe, as well. So he got 4th in the Japan Cup, or it was the International Challenge, I believe, which was obviously players all around the world, but it counted towards World's qualification for Japanese players. So yeah, he had Moltres on that team. I don't actually remember the team details at all, so that will make this a little bit more interesting. So let's see how I want to approach this matchup. Yeah, this is really tricky. I want to lead Zapdos and Lele, I think, with Tyranitar in the back. And I'm thinking Landorus. The only downside is my opponent's Metagross is quite an issue for me to deal with by not bringing my own Metagross. I'm not the biggest fan of Amoonguss here because of both Moltres and Tapu Koko. And, I mean, you could really make a good argument for Metagross over Tyranitar here, but Tyranitar against Rain typically gives me slightly better odds. But it's very likely my opponent doesn't even bring Rain, and just goes like Zapdos, Moltres, or sorry, Moltres, Koko, Metagross. That combination. Maybe Ludi still. But I'm pretty excited to see if the Moltres does come out. We're going to see Metagross and Moltres, okay. Which is probably in my opponent's favor here. Yeah, I mean, the first question is, does my opponent just expect me to protect Lele? Iron Heading Lele is definitely the safe play here. Otherwise, I could really gamble and attack, but I think if I'm my opponent, I just Iron Head and, like, I don't remember the Moltres set. And it actually is faster than me, too, which is quite bad. It's a really ugly lead. I don't know what I could have really outled my opponent with, though. Maybe, at most, Lele and my Metagross. That's pretty much it, I think. And Lele just feels way too important to give up, but the question is, like, what do I do? Anything taking in is going to take an Iron Head. I don't have any resist to it right now. I'm just going to launch a Tailwind, and I might have to sack Lele here, to be honest. And if my opponent overextends and targets Zapdos, then that actually puts me in a really solid spot. But I don't like protecting, because if I protect and Moltres Tailwinds, I'm just going to be in the same spot. And here I get to gamble a little bit if my opponent overextends. I don't want to switch into Landorus because I want to get the Intimidate off once Metagross Mega Evolves. Yeah, this lead just completely destroys me, I think. Okay, that's what I was hoping for. We see the Zen Headbutt. I should survive this, I think. Oh, that's so good for me if I don't flinch. Because Lele presumably is faster than the Moltres here. Yeah, I mean, based off the abilities. That should knock out Moltres and I should get Tailwind up. So that's exactly what I was saying. Because if I'm my opponent, I think Iron Heading there is definitely the most optimal play, because it covers all the options, right? I guess the one thing it doesn't cover as much is me switching into Metagross, but then you still have Moltres for coverage. So now, not only does my opponent not get an attack off with Moltres, at least I don't think Moltres will survive, I also get a Tailwind off. So yeah, I didn't feel like I really had a much better play there, because protecting Lele doesn't get me anywhere. Switching out to Tyranitar or the Landorus doesn't really get me anywhere either. And that's actually, like, that puts me in such a good spot. This went from, like, a awful lead, or quite the bad lead, to an incredible one. Because now I get Tailwind up, and my opponent doesn't match it, which is very, very, very important. So, yeah. Of course, that's a decent start, but it's still far from over. Politoed's going to come in, though, which I would say is pretty good to see. Yeah, so I'm very happy about that turn 1. Definitely very content. I easily could double up into Politoed. I think I'm just going to Thunderbolt the Metagross here. What do I want to do, actually? I want to double up into Toad. That would be ideal. I could see a Zen Headbutt coming out. I mean, I could also switch out into Tyranitar. Yeah, I think I'm just going to Thunderbolt Metagross, though. And Psychic Politoed. I just want to get damage off, because I'm ahead of my opponent right now, so I'll take even trades. Yeah, so Poly protects, that's fine. Thunderbolt to Metagross should do around like 40%, and Metagross, if it knocks out Lele, that's actually ideal for me because I get the free switch into Landorus. Presumably it's going to knock out my Zapdos, but that's also fine for me because I get the switch into Tyranitar. No, it's actually Iron Head coming out into Lele. Okay, that's great for me, I think. Because now I don't see what's stopping me from just switching into my Landorus, clicking Earthquake, and Thunderbolting Politoed. I guess the one downside here is if my opponent does have Ludicolo in the back, you could switch out Politoed into Ludicolo and protect Metagross. So Earthquake is so obvious here that I really want to U-turn and Thunderbolt the Politoed slot, because that covers the Ludi option. But is that overextending too much? I don't know. I feel like, I mean, what else can my opponent do? What else could be in the back, too? That's the other question. Presumably it's Ludicolo. If it's Landorus, that could be a problem, I guess. It's just if I Earthquake Thunderbolt, the Ludi gets a Fake Out off. I think I'm going to double up into Toad here with a U-turn and a Thunderbolt. Which should knock out Poly if it stays in. Okay, it switches out. Show me Ludicolo. Nice. Okay, so even if Metagross doesn't protect here, I think this is still a good turn for me. Oh, wow, she doesn't protect. Impressive call. Either way, though, Metagross is going to be at -2 now, and I'm going to have Weather Control after this turn. So I'll take that. Although, Earthquake Thunderbolt would have won me the game right there. But, yeah. Really surprised Metagross didn't protect. That is a hero call. But I guess my opponent's like, oh, I'm behind. I got to make a big move or two. So I can respect that. I think I'm still in a pretty good shape here, though, with Megatar. Because I can just reset the weather now, which is why Mega Tyranitar is used on this team. And we just see his Zen Headbutt. He's going to correctly target the Zapdos slot as well. So, nice plays by my opponent. So, 2-2 now, but my opponent's got -2 Metagross, and I've still got Tailwind up. So, I'd say the odds are still slightly in my favor. Because what I can do now is go for a Dragon Dance on my last turn with Tyranitar. That was a great, like, because I win the game if the Metagross protects there. And if I Earthquake there, I also probably win the game. So, it's happy to see the Ludicolo come in. Surprised to not see what I expected, but nice play definitely on my opponent's end. Ooh, I don't want to Earthquake here. I mean, Earthquake Protect is like the obvious play. But then Metagross will outspeed me. I want a Dragon Dance here. Metagross could totally not protect here as well, though. That was a great play by my opponent last turn. I'm gonna Superpower Metagross, covering the option of it attacking Mega Evolve and Dragon Dance. Maybe I should just protect Earthquake, yeah. The more I think about it, the more I think that would have been better. The other question is whether or not Politoed has Ice Beam. If it doesn't, I'm also in decent shape. Because -2 Iron Head surely doesn't knock out Tyranitar. Okay, Metagross protects. That's what I wanted to see. Because what that means is, regardless of what Politoed does... Oh, it protects too. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so I really was... The one thing I was really scared of was just my opponent getting an attack off against my Tyranitar. Because now I get the Dragon Dance off. Because, you know, I wasn't knocking either Metagross or Politoed there that turn, so my opponent could have, like, doubled up into Metagross, or into Tyranitar. Although I think I honestly survived, like, an Iron Head Scald combination. But now I can just crunch safely. I'm gonna Superpower and crunch the Metagross. Ooh. Okay, Helping Hand comes out. Is it still faster than me? I'm Admin. I actually don't remember my speed tiers for this, because I ran Admin instead of Jolly. I know Jolly... I'm not outspeeding Coco. I think I should still outspeed Metagross. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Was slightly worried there, because I didn't know my speed tiers very well by choosing Admin. But yeah, Crunch there just gets the knockout. I mean, if it were just an Iron Head coming out, I think I honestly survived that anyway, so that wasn't too concerning. Superpower also chucked out Politoed a lot. Yeah, that double protect sealed the game for me. And it made sense for my opponent's end. Actually, I don't know if it makes too much sense, because I feel like you need to attack with Politoed there. I'm not sure I agree with the Politoed protecting there. Yeah, I'm just gonna Superpower and Crunch. Because if you're double protecting there and I Earthquake, then I can just protect, and I protect with my Tyranitar, the next turn I'm just gonna get the Earthquake off anyway. And Politoed's not threatening the Landorus. So clearly, I mean, if I had Ice Beam though, I think surely you go for the Ice Beam. I'm gonna guess it didn't have Ice Beam. But Superpower still does a ton, and +1 Crunch Admin should actually knock out the Politoed. Let's see. It does, yeah. So Megatar really coming through this game. I'm glad I ended up making the decision to bring it. Yeah, that turn 1 basically won me the game, I would say, because I think if the Metagross just Iron Heads my Lele and Moltres gets Tailwind up, I don't think I can win this game, given the situation that I had. So I had to gamble a little bit because the team matchup was not very good in terms of, the lead matchup wasn't very good. And it ended up working out, yeah. I think because it's like, surely the Lele protects there. Which is what my opponent was definitely thinking. But which is why I think if I'm my opponent, I'd Iron Head the Lele most of the time there. Just because you lose literally so much momentum if you let the Zapdos get the Tailwind up. And that's what I needed to win against my opponent, because my opponent did have the Weather component in the back as well. So yeah, I mean, it's tough bringing a Mungus into that matchup against a Moltres and a Metagross. And it's tough bringing Metagross into a matchup against Moltres as well. Like, the one other lead I was thinking maybe could work is, like, in order to win that game, I think I need to basically deny Tailwind from the Moltres. And then I need to get my own Tailwind up to guarantee that I outspeed. So, the only other way I could really do that is maybe leading Lele Metagross, because then I threaten with Zen Headbutt onto Moltres and Shattered Psyche, but I don't know if Zen Headbutt knocks out Moltres. And I'm going to play a third game, because why not? Yeah, missed a couple of episodes in the previous week. So, yeah, really interesting game so far today. I mean, that first game still just a doozy. Like, I was like, okay, I'm in a good spot. I got my opponent to, like, over-predict a little bit. As long as I don't flinch, I get the HP ice off. That probably just steals me the game. Double flinch comes out, or double crit comes out, but still somehow managed to pull it off. And that last one, just a really big call turn 1. And my opponent locks in immediately and is in the 1800s, so clearly I'm going to assume my opponent is a very good matchup against this team or knows exactly how to play against this team. Celesteela is going to be the main issue. If I want to beat Celesteela, I'm going to have to use Zapdos pretty much, so I have to conserve my Zapdos very strongly. Mimilax is also quite the concerning combination of Pokemon. It might actually be necessary to bring a Mungus here, despite the Charizard. I think I'm going to lead Landorus and Mungus. My opponent doesn't have something like Feeny or Coco, so he can't deny Sleep very easily. Now this is tough because Megatar is actually really good against, like, I could just use a Mungus Megatar against a Celesteela if Celesteela doesn't have Acrobatics, but a lot of Celesteelas are running Acrobatics nowadays. I think I still need Zapdos. And the main issue is with these Pokemon, I need something to deal with the Bulu. Like, Lele is honestly quite good here. I could choose not to bring either Mega. Yeah, if I bring Tar, my matchup against Bulu is quite bad. Although I guess I do have a Mungus with Clear Smog, but I don't think that knocks out. This is a really tough call on who to bring as my last one. I'm like actually leaning more towards Lele than Metagross. I don't know. I don't think I've ever played a game without bringing either Mega Evolution. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm not the biggest fan of my choice here, but like my opponent's team comp is like somewhat standard, but I don't know, typically you'll see like maybe something like Feeny instead of, or Coco instead of the Bulu. It's Charizard Bulu, which I think is actually really good for me because I just have Rock Slide pressure immediately. The only question is how bulky this Charizard is. Maybe I should have brought, Tyranitar. Yeah. The sand just helps out so much. Because if I'm my opponent here and I have Landorus in the back, I just, would Mega Evolve, switch out to Landorus, and Heat Wave. This is where I wish I had something like Stone Edge. Obviously, I don't. I'm just gonna Rock Slide here. And I could Clear Smog Bulu, because what my opponent could also do here is just protect Charizard and try to knock out my Landorus. Actually, the more I think about that, the more... Yeah, this is an awful turn 1 position to be in, I think. I'm running out of time. I don't like this play that I'm making. Yeah, this is actually an awful play. I Rock Slide Clear Smog, and Bulu switches out. Yeah, so that's pretty awful. Into Celesteela. Okay. Wait, that means Charizard is... Ah. Okay. That makes this a lot more interesting. I was not anticipating Charizard X. Okay. I miss Celesteela. It kind of sucks, but oh well. Does pretty good damage against Charizard. Is it Flare Blitzing or Dragon Dancing here? It's just Flare Blitzing. Okay. Into the Landorus. She does not knock me out. Yes, obviously Sporing would have been nice there, but you know, honestly, I'll take that turn because I think Charizard's in KO range from another Rock Slide. So I don't see what's stopping me from just Rock Sliding and Sporing Celesteela. Yeah. Charizard protects, that's fine. Being able to put Celesteela to sleep is good, because then I get to switch in for free. Yeah, maybe I should have brought Megatar. Another miss. Jeez. And a substitute. That's kind of annoying. And that's actually really annoying, because that Charizard now has healed back enough. Huh. Okay. I should have Spored instead of Clear Smogging the Bulu. Putting Celesteela to sleep like earlier on would have been really nice. I think I'm going to switch out into Zapdos here. And protect Amoonguss. Yeah. Not an ideal start to the game. Yeah, Megatar would have been super nice. But I didn't feel comfortable bringing against Bulu with the other Pokemon that I felt were necessary to bring in this matchup. So my opponent does have Landorus. Okay, that makes this interesting. So I'd say, honestly, Pokemon-wise, I have a pretty good matchup here. And we know it's lefty, so it's probably not Acrobatic Celesteela either. So Sub-Leech Seed Heavy Slam is what I presume it is. Yeah. Okay, Heavy Slam comes out. That's fine. I mean, I think what I'm going to do here is... I mean, the other thing is, now I'm in a pretty good position. Amoonguss, I forced the Charizard out, so that's good. Like, surely Landorus doesn't stay in here, right? I want a Thunderbolt and Spore Celesteela. The only downside is my opponent could just, like, protect Celesteela and switch Landorus out into Charizard. But you've got to be worried about Spore coming out from Amoonguss right now, so Bulu would be, like, the more safe switch in, I guess. I could also HP Ice and Spore Landorus, which covers Bulu slightly and shuts down Charizard. Maybe that's what I want to do, actually. I'm still worried about this Landorus, though. I think I'm actually going to switch out my Zapdos and Spore Landorus. Just in case this is like Ban Landorus with Stone Edge, because that's what my opponent might be trying to bait me into doing. Knock out my Zapdos, because if Zapdos goes down, I lose this game. So my Zapdos switches out first. Let's see if Landorus U-turns. Celesteela switches out. That's very interesting. And Landorus U-turns, okay. Presumably Bulu. Which means I could have Clear Smogged, but oh well. Yeah. Ah, that's gross. That's so annoying. Haven't gotten my predictions right with this Amoonguss, unfortunately. I'm surprised to see like the turn 1 my opponent just didn't bring in Landorus immediately. That was definitely kind of surprising, but oh well. Definitely gonna click Rock Slide here. I'm gonna Rock Slide, and I think I'm just gonna, because if Charizard Flare Blitzes Amoonguss, it's gonna faint. But I suppose then I think Charizard might try to like Dragon Dance here. Yeah, I'm gonna Spore the Charizard. Okay, that works. Being able to put Celesteela to sleep is good. Especially forcing it out when it went for a sub was good too. Hit the Rock Slide, which is good. Finally hit the Celesteela after so many turns. Boo, Horn Leeches, yeah, that's fine. Okay, and I put Steela to sleep. I just need to make some better predictions now with the switch-ins, but now that Celesteela is asleep, that helps me majorly, especially because now I get Zapdos in. Yeah. And you've got to be worried about Clear Smog. My opponent knows I have Clear Smog. Zapdos is a very safe switch-in. Grassy Terrain actually disappears as well. So, yeah, like, I don't have too much offense with my team, but I think I have enough to deal with my opponent's team. Especially with Lele and HP Ice on this Zapdos. I want to Clear Smog Bulu, but it could obviously very easily switch out. It's probably best to Tailwind here. And I'm going to Spore the Bulu slot. I think that's Charizard coming in there. Yeah. Bulu protects? Yeah. I haven't called any switch-ins correctly with Amoonguss, which was kind of bad on my end. Okay. So I think here you switch Bulu out. Who would you switch out into? Yeah, that was really bad. If I Spore Charizard, I probably win the game there. I also need to be really aware of time. Jeez. I'm going to Hidden Power Ice Bulu. And protect Amoonguss. Oh, it actually stays in. That's unexpected. Okay. Oh, that actually does 50. Okay, that was a crit. I was like, that's so much damage. Toxic Charizard? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. I played quite bad. I think my opponent has just read a lot of my plays really well. Superpower. Okay, so that covers the Tyranitar switch in. Which makes sense. Yeah, I gotta make moves fast now. I'm gonna HP Ice and Spore Charizard. Yeah, like, not being able to shut down Charizard is the main thing, because Amoonguss runs over my opponent's team if I do. And I just have not made any good predictions with this Amoonguss. So Steela comes back in, that's fine. Question is what Charizard does. Doesn't protect, okay. So maybe HP Ice plus Flare Blitz will get the Charizard to faint after recoil. It is going for Flare Blitz. Who's it targeting? Amoonguss, yep. So I'm gonna sack Amoonguss there, but I think I need to in order to get Lele back in for free. Yeah, Charizard does faint. That's huge for me. Okay, this is still very winnable, but I have to play till a timer. I mean, timer is the thing, so I have to be very careful. And Toxic. My Zapdos is Toxic, which is not good, because I can't switch out the timer either. Oh gosh, okay. I actually need to click buttons fast now, because I've been thinking a lot this game. Been a long episode, but a fun one. Okay, so Bulu comes out. I haven't landed like just any switches or predictions correctly. I'm gonna lose terrain, but that's fine. That doesn't matter too much, I think. You would think the safest play is switching Celesteela out into Landorus. How many turns to Tailwind are left? There's only one turn, which is bad. Because there's only one turn, I think I'm actually going to Roost. I think Celesteela might stay in here. Roost and Moonblast Bulu. Nice. Celesteela stays in. Okay. So I get the Roost off. Basically, I want to get another Tailwind up if possible. As Celesteela was going for a Protect there. Not that that's anything too crazy. Maybe Thunderbolting there was still the better play, though, if I'm expecting Celesteela to stay in. Yeah, I don't know about that one. This is intense. The Toxic is just really what did me in. Okay, I'm gonna Thunderbolt, and I don't know if Moonblast knocks out Bulu. If Celesteela wakes up, that's also really bad for me. I'm gonna Shatter Psyche Bulu. Okay, that's okay. This has just been a really frustrating game because there's been so many switches I could have called, and I just haven't called any of them. Just really bad on my end. Could have Tailwind there, could have Roosted, could have HP Ice. Literally any other play would have been better, but I wanted a Thunderbolt because the Celesteela is on a timer. My opponent just has outplayed me with this. Yeah, this is definitely one of the more frustrating games I've played. I mean, if Celesteela takes like a 3-turn sleep, I probably win this game. I don't know the Landorus item either. Yeah, it's going to be a close finish. So I finally knock out Bulu, but an HP Ice there probably would have sealed up the game for me. The other question is what item this Landorus has. I mean, if it has Stone Edge, you'll knock out Zapdos, so I'd lose. But my opponent didn't go for it earlier. So if it's just Rock Sliding, I'll survive and heal back, but the question is whether Celesteela wakes up or not. Because if it doesn't wake up, I think I win the game. So I'm going to double up onto Landorus now. If I don't get flinched and Celesteela stays asleep, I think I win the game. But if I flinch... He protected! What? Okay. And it's not Scarf Landorus. It's AV then. I'm faster with both. What is going on? But I don't get the knockout. Ah, he goes for a knockoff. That's a really good play. Oh, man. And I faint from poison. That was really well executed by my opponent. I had a really good matchup, I think, here. And I really did not make very good plays. I also should have Moonblasted it instead of Psychicking. Well, actually, you can make an argument for Psychic, because if I get a special defense drop, I get the knockout onto Landorus, whereas Moonblast probably doesn't get the knockout. But, wow, this credits to my opponent, man. Like, I really felt like I had so many opportunities to win this game, and I played... I didn't... It's not, like, passively, it's just, like, I didn't really call any of the switches correctly, and, like, that was just really frustrating. The knockoff was such a good play there, too, because it gets rid of my berry. Because if you Rock Slide there, I just heal back with my berry. And then next turn, I can just Psychic Landorus and Roost. So, yeah, Toxic Charizard was really what did me in there. Without the Toxic, I think I'd probably win that game, because Zapdos has enough firepower, so that caught me off guard. I didn't predict any of the switch outs correctly, which was so frustrating because if I do land any of them, it puts me in such a good spot. And that was just, I don't know. Like, sometimes your opponent just has a really good read on you and what you're doing. And that was a very clean game by my opponent as well. Just, like, very good play overall. And I really felt like I had a pretty good matchup, honestly. Like, I don't think my opponent maybe was expecting me to bring the Pokemon that I did. And, man, that was one of the games where I come out and I'm like, geez, like I definitely got outplayed, really. So credit to my opponent because I feel like that was a tough matchup for my opponent to maneuver around. So yeah, really fun games overall today, though. I can't be too sad about that loss. Hopefully you guys enjoyed them, and as always, if you did, please share support by leaving a like. Go link the Rain team that I mentioned in the second game in the description below, and really good games to my opponent, especially that last one. I feel like that was just making a lot of good plays and switches there. I kind of wish it was Scarf Landorus now, because if it was Scarf Landorus, I think I'd win that game, because then I'd knock you out with a double target. Then I can taunt the Celesteela of Roost with Zapdos, and then just click Thunderbolt twice to win the game. So, yeah, that was crazy. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. As always, if you enjoyed, leave a like to show your support, and I'll catch you guys next time. Alright, peace.